There is a force that is manipulating human society, and it's coming from the unseen.
Because when there's a few of you and you want to control billions, you have to do it by manipulating the perceptions of the billions so they act and respond in ways that suit your agenda. The first bottom line to appreciate the nature of what's happening is to understand the nature of those who are doing it. They're psychopaths. And if you look at the character traits, the official character traits of a psychopath, right at the top of the list is no empathy. They have no ability to put themselves in the feelings of those they affect. So they have no fail-safe mechanism to their behavior. You know, the rest of us who have empathy, we can look at the effect of our behavior on others, and we can put ourselves in how that would make others feel. And so that says, I'm not going to do that. It creates an emotional empathy, creates an emotional consequence for doing unpleasant things to other people. If you've not got that emotional consequence because you have no empathy, then there are no limits to what you can do. These people not only don't care about the horror, death, and destruction they cause, they love it. They love it. This is what we're dealing with. And so we must get through this idea that no one would be that evil as to do what I'm saying they're doing. And they are clearly doing. Just look at the world. Yeah, no, you wouldn't be that evil. They would be, because they are. And evil, for me, my definition of evil is the absence of love. Mm-hmm. You take love out of human behavior and completely. You take empathy out of human behavior, compassion, and you have the cult. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're dealing with. And they have an agenda for the world, and especially for our children and grandchildren, ongoing. That is absolutely horrific. So if I had something to say to people as we finish, it is this: there is nothing even approaching the importance in your life than standing up to this now and refusing to cooperate with it. None. You tell me, oh, my kids are more important. Well, your kids, what are your kids' lives going to be? If you look at where we are now, look at Australia again. That's only now. That's only 2021. It's not where they're meant to go ultimately. And your kids and grandkids are going to have to live in that world. Why does a psychopath do what they do? Why does a serial killer do what they do? Why do psychopaths act like they do? And the answer is because they're psychopaths. So what we're dealing with are psychopaths, in fact, super psychopaths. Super psychopaths that have, as psychopaths have, what it is the top trait of a psychopath. They have no empathy. They have no ability to put themselves in the feeling and experiences of those they affect. So anyone who has empathy, it's the fail-safe mechanism of human behavior. If you can feel empathy with the effect you're having on other people, that limits what you're going to do. Because first of all, you're having an emotional consequence for what you're doing. But when you have no empathy, because you're a psychopath, you don't have that emotional consequence. In fact, you get off on people suffering, and you posturing your power over them. So, we're dealing with deeply insane people from a consciousness point of view, but intellectually bright enough to understand how the human psyche works and how you can manipulate it. Because when there's a few of you and you want to control billions, you have to do it by manipulating the perceptions of the billions so they act and respond in ways that suit your agenda. You can't, they want to go to this next stage through connecting the human brain to artificial intelligence, which they're openly talking about. But up to this point, they simply don't have the numbers to impose their will upon the population, because not enough of them. Even taking into account the law enforcement and the government administration and all this stuff, there's still only a fraction of them compared with the population they want to control and dictate to. So the way they do it is they manipulate the perceptions of the people so they act in ways that suit the agenda. So they're psychopaths, so they act like psychopaths.
People think, oh, that's strange. Well, if they realized how little we can actually see, they would be shocked if they haven't come across it. Humans can see a tiny smear of reality. It's just in a tiny frequency band that we can decode into what we call a visual reality. And outside of that is infinity, by the way. Quite a lot more to know. That's when people say they think they know all there is to know. What? You know all there is to know? It's like religion, right? What religion is saying, according to mainstream science, some say it's a bit more, but not much. The electromagnetic spectrum, the entirety of the electromagnetic spectrum is 0.005% what exists in the universe. That's what mainstream science says. Some say a bit more, but like I say, not much. Visible light, which is the only frequency band that we can see, everything we see is within this band, is a smear called visible light, let's say, of the 0.005%. Now, what a religion is saying, or most of them, is that all you need to know is between the covers of a single book within a smear of 0.005% of the electromagnetic spectrum, when beyond it lies infinity. Now, I think on that basis alone, there's probably just a touch more to know than is there. And there's a touch more to know than mainstream science says it knows. So, it's like that great phrase from Socrates in ancient Greece, or I'm paraphrasing, wisdom is knowing how little we know. So therefore, that always keeps your mind open, because no matter what you know or think you know, one thing is absolutely certain and is undebatable. Whatever you know or think you know, there's always more to know. In fact, vastly, infinitely more to know. If you are manipulating the human population, what you have to do to keep them in your control is to control their perception, because everything is perception. I agreed to do this interview because of my perception of you. If my perception of you had been different, I might have said, no, I won't do that. Everything is perception. What we will do, what we won't do, what we'll challenge, what we won't challenge, what we'll support, what we won't support, all comes from perception. All human behavior comes from perception. Simply control perception, you control behavior.